How are you, my bro?
Good, fantastic.
Good. Okay, for the people who are listening to the podcast today,
yes.
maybe they are not going to notice, but the people who are watching the podcast already know we have a special guest, and we are not in our house.
Yeah.
We are not in our studio. Even we are not in our city.
Right.
So
We're in Taipei, baby. We're in the capital city of Taiwan.
did somebody give you like the passive-aggressive message already?
Passive aggressive
Yeah,
message?
your friends. Any of your friends told you like, "Oh, you are famous now.
Ah,
Why
no,
you
no,
didn't
no,
tell
no.
me that you're in Taipei?" Well, everybody, but everybody who is watching now, let me introduce you. Today we have one special person, and I have the honor to say that is. We try to find a special person, really professional, because we will love to talk about deep stuff, deep conversation. And today we have
An expert.
the expert. Let's say, everybody, welcome to Chris.
Hey, Chris, welcome.
Welcome to Thank you.
Thank you. It's very nice meeting you. All right.
Let me correct. Is Chris Mitchell?
Yeah,
Mitchell.
Chris Mitchell.
Okay. I was scared to pronounce well because I most of the time I speak Spanish or Chinese, and my English is not really good. My accent is.
Yeah.
So let me do again. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, today we have one person, amazing professor of drawing and design of the character, and he's one of the most special person in this season. Let's welcome everybody to Chris Mitchell.
Thank you.
Okay. Welcome, Chris. You know what? I just had a feeling that today I want to take revenge.
What's up?
Because always my professor tell me like, can you introduce yourself? And today is the best day that I can tell one professor
introduce himself.
Oh my God.
Chris, please give the honor.
Hello, I'm Chris Mitchell, and I'm a first-year student. No,
Okay.
is that like usually? No. So yeah, I'm Chris Mitchell, and I'm a character designer and a writer and art director. I've been working in animation for over 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, in the United States. So yeah, I don't know. I've worked on a ton of stuff.
Three of your favorites.
Do I need to list it?
No, just three. Let me
Well,
tell
most
us
recent.
three.
Maybe I should say most recent.
Okay.
The most recent, yeah?
Or everybody knows SpongeBob.
Yeah,
I worked
yeah.
on SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
And I got nominated for an Emmy for writing on SpongeBob.
Damn!
Yeah.
Okay.
But then people know Powerpuff Girls.
Yes. That's
So
my favorite one.
I wrote and designed on Powerpuff Girls. And then people know Big Hero 6.
Big
Yeah.
Hero 6. Yes.
I did some story and design work on that. And then recently, I think everybody knows like Across the Spider-Verse.
My favorite movie.
So that one I primarily did storyboards on. And then Ultraman Rising, which is on Netflix. So can I say Netflix? Yeah.
Of course.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's start this episode because Ape ama swaggo menu. It's me, Conquer.
It's me, Tyler.
And it's me, Chris.
And we are Bros Bye.
I gotta be honest with you. I feel like I'm a little bit starstruck right now, so I might be, I don't know, maybe not saying things
I think no.
appropriately.
For me, it's one of the episodes that I was waiting for a long time.
Yeah.
It's because three now in the table we are artists. We love the. I don't know if we can call us artists, but we are in the way.
We've got one artist and two artists wannabe.
Let's start with the beginning. How was your process? How you start? When you start the passion of this?
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, I mean, for sure, I knew that I wanted to do something with drawing. And also, I wrote a lot, so I was creative in that sense, like wrote a lot of stories and stuff. So I just always knew that I wanted to do something. And then I'm fortunate that, my parents were really supportive. So I think that's like a big key to getting it. Because if you don't have parents that really support that, then
it's kind of difficult. Yeah.
I mean, you can do it, but it's just harder.
My
Really
father
hard.
and my mother, they are science people. My father is engineer of metallurgy, and my mother is professor of science. So when I listen, I want to study art. So they were like, okay, what?
Yeah.
Bro, the line is another.
I'm kind of the same because I grew up with my mom.
Really?
So, and my dad was just like, yeah, whatever. You know, he was cool. My mom has been kind of like interested in the arts like for a long time. And my grandfather in Japan actually was a famous movie critic. So I have pictures of my grandfather with like Kurosawa and Toshiro Mifune, like, you know, together, which is really amazing, you know, like I'm just like, whoa, they knew each other. Like, and when he passed away, like all these Japanese movie stars came to his funeral. So
Really?
Yeah, so movies have kind of been like in the family too, like for a long time.
What's kind of, we can say it's kind of in the blood, like something like that, relationship in the
a little bit, yeah. So
Really good. Is there something that you mark in your life to say like, I want to do this?
I just got lucky to like meet the right people.
The correct moment.
Yeah. So I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I knew I wanted to do something in art. But I didn't know if I was gonna be, you know, like a fine art painter and be, you know, like or what I was gonna be. And then in high school, I became friends with Mark Kennedy, who's actually now he's like one of the head of stories at Disney Feature Animation, and he's the one who told me about it. Actually, and that there was this animation school.
I told you about CalArts?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was always interested in animation, and when we became friends, that's kind of what we were doing. Like during the summer break, we would make, you know, our own like little animated films. Yeah, I had a Super 8 camera because back then there was no
the Super
digital.
8.
Yeah. So I had it set up, and we were actually like animating on paper and like filming it and making these little short animated films. So yeah, once he told me about CalArts, he got accepted, and he went because he was a year older than me, so he was already there
Inside, yeah.
And honestly, I think he even recommended me, you know, to go there, but I ended up getting accepted, and then we were roommates.
Ooh.
Like even our
We were fortunate enough to attend your masterclass yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you,
And
thank
yeah,
you.
during the session you mentioned that CalArts is actually ridiculously expensive, the tuition. Yeah. So I wonder, like, did you get like a scholarship, or were you like supported and funded by your family?
Yeah, so I mean, even though I went there
Yeah.
a while ago, it was still relative. I mean, it was still the
Expensive.
same. It was
Yeah.
still ridiculously expensive, and I was able to get some financial aid. But my parents, my mom and dad combined, they unfortunately, like the way it works in the U.S. for financial aid, it's like you have to be in a certain like bracket for your income. And unfortunately, they made like just enough, you know. So my mom had to sell like a bunch of stocks that she had, which sucks because I think she could have been like a millionaire or something.
Well, you are in Netflix now.
Well, but if she didn't do that, we wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
with
for sure,
the-
for sure.
Yeah, with the
so-
master of
I mean, I'm
Hollywood
grateful,
animation.
but
Yeah.
she-
How many times have you been to Taiwan?
This is my fourth time.
4.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
time.
So when you think of Taiwan, if you could make one character, what would you like of a popular snack, like boba milk tea or stinky tofu or whatever?
Pineapple cake,
Pineapple cake.
for sure.
Oh.
Yeah. In fact, I made one.
Really? Oh, yeah. We saw
Oh
that.
yeah, we
I made
got one, yeah.
I made a character called Uncle Pineapple Cake because I'm a pineapple cake freak. I even have a pineapple cake here, and obviously, like I think Taiwanese people always give them as gifts. So then I ate it, you know,
Oh, yeah.
the first time. Like everybody gives it.
Yeah.
How
like-
you
I actually think Taiwanese
Yeah.
people don't really eat them, right? Like they just give them as gifts.
a gift? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, I think I gained like 4 kilos since I've been
Really?
here.
Wow.
Well, that's
Just
the
on
life.
pineapple
Yeah, that's the
cake.
life. you
It's
see?
the power of Taiwanese food.
Actually, I have a really curious thing because you mentioned the uncle, and we see the uncle pineapple cake here. But most of this animation is a little like a, I don't know. It's it's so different to for example, the animation of Baby Shark, we can say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a different. And yesterday in your masterclass, say something really interesting that is basically the cartoon, the animation start with thinking in adults in the audience. The objective audience was a little like adults, no objective to the kids. But in which moment so we pass to the animation to adults to the kids?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, even back in the 50s, people started using the TV as like sort of a babysitter.
Oh,
really,
yeah.
Right? And TV started to need like more and more content because it was getting so popular, right? And so they started to appropriate like these cartoons that were actually made for adults. So like, one of the examples I gave was Looney Tunes, like Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and stuff. Those cartoons were always like geared towards adults, all the original ones. And they showed in the movie theater, before the feature movie.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, like TV, they needed something. So they actually kind of just repurposed them, put them together, and released it as the Bugs Bunny Hour or whatever it was called, the Bugs Bunny Show or something like that. You had that transition starting to happen in the 50s. And then a lot of the newer animation that came out was kind of mixed, actually, because you still had in the 60s, you had the Flintstones. And the Flintstones was primetime. It was also made for adults, and people sometimes don't realize that also. They actually made smoking commercials, like cigarette commercials with the Flintstones, TV basically was the thing that sort of like switched it towards kids.
I have one question before I forget this question. SpongeBob was made for kids or for adults?
Well, that comes into then like kind of my generation. And then when we started to like create our own products, or I shouldn't say products, but like shows, creations, our own creations. Then we, basically just made it for ourselves. So none of the shows that I really worked on were really like dumbed down for kids or, we just made stuff that we like.
Yeah.
And, of course, there's some like rules and things that, we can't show this because they're going to be showing it to
like
kids or whatever, standards and practices. But for the most part, we just really want to make stuff that we like, I think. And so that's why I think a lot of those shows actually caught on with older people too.
I see.
They weren't just popular with like kids.
Yeah. It has a wide range of age, right?
Yeah.
I think you mentioned that there was one time that some certain, let's say, animation and cartoon shows that are especially popular among college students. And we also previously kind of mentioned that you went to CalArts and you're now a professor.
Yes.
At CalArts.
Yeah.
And
My teacher.
I've got some questions for you because I feel like you've been teaching at CalArts, and what is one biggest difference that you notice, like teaching before the pandemic, and then transition from teaching on site into teaching online, and now you're teaching more like Gen Z kids, even Gen Alpha.
Transitioning to like full-time teaching at CalArts was interesting, and because I really started during the pandemic, and so everything was remote. That in itself was a weird challenge.
Oh yeah,
because as you guys know, talking to yourself is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And you have to get used to it.
Yeah.
And teaching remotely is a little bit like talking to yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're all muted,
And
so
they don't turn on the camera and you're like, what?
There's just no reaction.
Yeah.
So you just don't know, am I sinking or swimming?
Right. I graduated in the middle of pandemic, and I've got so many peers, like classmates. They just people usually hop on Zoom, right? And you have to type your username, and they just type their name not as like Tyler Ho. They type as connecting. ...
As professor, when you create one story, I'm really, as you mentioned now, I think the most modern popular shows or cartoon that is created for adults is becoming trending. Just I have one example, like a Rick and Morty.
Oh yeah.
It's big, huge cartoon, but it's in Adult Swim, and the idea for that cartoon was like, okay, adults. But now it's like everybody watching. Everybody know that. Everybody is like inside of the popular culture.
Yeah.
Do you recommend like go for one specific target, or just like draw a story, draw the character? How is your passion? How is your brain? How is your ideas now? Because that is the thing that you can comprehend. You can understand. How is your emotion? For example, if they are teenagers, like draw something about teenager, because you can understand how is the feeling of that character. Can you recommend something like that? Or how is your opinion about that?
I think, the shows that become really successful, they're all shows that take chances, which is interesting because the studios like to tell you the opposite. They don't want to take any chances.
Yeah.
But it's really funny
like
because all the huge hits are like the ones that take chances. They're also ones that come from creators that have like an interesting point of view, and they have some kind of passion about like what they're trying to say or what they're doing. SpongeBob, it's like take SpongeBob with Steve Hillenburg, the creator. He studied the ocean, and he was, that was like his occupation at first. And so for him, like,
that's why we got starfish and everything.
Yeah. So bringing like ocean, like awareness about the ocean, was something that he consciously wanted to do. It was like a thing, and that was like his passion.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say is that he never compromised his vision ever. So like he was constantly sort of like fighting with the
studio.
The studio. Yeah, because I worked on the first season of SpongeBob, so like right from the beginning, he never really backed down. If it was something that was important to him. And that's like an advice that I'll give. Also is that, when you create something, it's like, first of all, don't create something just to like try to create a hit, because that's, first of all,
that's
never,
the worst
it's never
part.
gonna work.
It's never
gonna work. And then the next thing is just like stick to your guns, basically, and like follow through on your vision. Like, don't forget what your goal was. I guess it's easy to like get swayed or change things, especially if you have a deal with a big studio or something, then it's really hard to stick with.
I think it's expected that you have to make like certain compromise, or like,
and plus you're like scared, like it's like your first thing, and so some people just basically change everything, and then that show usually fails. And here's another thing that the executives never understand is that they always think like somehow the artists are trying to sabotage the show or something, or like their ideas are somehow going to ruin the show. And they just need to realize that the artists want the show to succeed more than anyone else, because they want to still have work, and they want their creations to be successful. I mean, they have the most actually invested in it, like not money, but like their heart and soul.
Yeah, because they pour everything, their time, their effort, their everything into making this happen.
Let's go a little more down now and go to the deep question and the more when everybody wants to see this. I listen. I'm so happy that you bring to the table the first season of SpongeBob. I have a lot of more about the characters. Now, you say like we are adults and we understand that, actually this wasn't for kids. That is for adults. And for example, SpongeBob have a lot of videos about conspirational, I don't know, like I try to understand everything and go more in deep. Just you mentioned about SpongeBob, for example, the city of SpongeBob. I saw one reel who say the city is like a trash. It's like everything is like a trash. And and the flowers that you see in the sky, they say one person interpreted like actually that's not flower, that is petrol that was in the ocean. So as you see, because the color is really special and it's really rare, and you say like why? And that say like actually this place is how the animals actually live, with the trash, we live together, and with all oil that is in the ocean, something like that.
Yeah, trash for sure. I mean, that's like something that Steve really wanted to like make a statement about. Or I'm not sure about the oil, like the shapes in the sky, like because they might just be algae or something. So I wasn't really, I don't really know about that, but definitely like their houses and
the
stuff
trash,
are made out of trash, and that's
Because
something
it's not
that he
pineapple,
wanted.
but
Yeah.
SpongeBob isn't a pineapple. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
pineapple in the water in the ocean. Wait.
Yeah, it's definitely a statement about like trash. With the pineapple, it's also because Steve loves like tiki stuff. You know, like, and so that sort of factored into, you know, like, it's interesting that you say that because, you know, there's always like various levels of things. And so, well, I thought you were going to mention that, you know, there's a lot of people online that always say like Patrick and SpongeBob are gay.
Oh, really?
Are they?
Well, I mean, there's always like people saying that.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
actually not. It was never a thing. Now, Squidward, he's gay. Like, he's like full on. Like, I always imagine, or we talked that he is like a super gay man. You know, like.
Okay.
But I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that.
I don't know. This is a bit viral clip. I don't know.
By the way, this is off record, so
Yeah, that's
Okay.
off record.
Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
But yeah, SpongeBob and Patrick. I just think it's funny that like, because there was some reverend or something.
Yeah.
Like some like religious groups that were saying that they were gay or something. And
Oh,
it was, like,
yeah.
sacrilegious or something. You know, but they were never ever like, we never discussed them as being gay. Like, nobody ever thought that, or while we were boarding, they're basically like little kids.
Yeah,
You know?
the-
And so
well,
that's the thing. Like, they're innocent and they're like kids. You know?
Right.
Like,
they're
Right,
pure
yeah.
innocent, but because
it's
basically
not the same as
something-
Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
Ren and Stimpy, there was like some, you know, weird innuendos and
Yeah.
things
Yeah,
that were
yeah,
happening
yeah.
for sure. For sure. You know, but SpongeBob, it was never.
So my question is, go now. When you design the character, because yesterday in your masterclass we talked about the shape of the character, have a specific kind of shapes. So when you design the character, you know exactly the whole background, or do you think that the public, we don't know, like what is subconsciously or
Yeah.
complete the character when you design the character?
You know, sometimes, like when I'm working on a movie, sometimes the script's not finished. So if it's early on, sometimes they have no idea, or the idea keeps changing. So then sometimes they allow you to just come up with some ideas.
Yeah.
But they might, you know, like, hey, this is the villain of this character. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, of this movie. So can you do some versions and try
Of
to
the
figure
villain,
it out?
yeah.
Yeah, you know. So that actually did happen on Big Hero 6 because I was designing, and there were some villains that just didn't make it into the movie.
Okay.
So
I'm curious that sometimes artists, when you're in the middle of creation or you're crafting something, right? Probably you would have like certain statement you want to make or certain message you want to send, and that oftentimes, like if you're working with huge studios, they might have second opinion. So
oh yeah, they do.
now that you've got a lot of hands-on experience, you're very like in the industry. What is one advice, if just only one, what is one advice you would like to give to like aspiring young artists that are just starting out? That how do they find the balance between following their heart, their gut, versus sometimes be more open to
Oh,
some,
The studios,
yeah.
yeah. The executive.
Well, I always give like something that inspired me to sort of just get through everything, because, you know, we do get a lot of notes sometimes.
A lot of notes.
Yeah, it can be frustrating,
Yeah.
you know, because we do take things to heart a little bit.
Right,
And
yeah.
so, you know, when you work on something and you put everything into it, and then you like show it and you're really excited about it, and then they're like,
Well,
I don't know. Change it, you know, then you're just like, ugh, crushed.
Yeah.
Right. So that I always think about something that one of my teachers on the job, I mean, I learned a lot from her, told me that, you know, basically, like, no matter how stupid or how bad the notes are, that if we're talented enough, then we should be able to turn that into something that's like good.
Right.
And I kind of just always hear that in my head. So when I'm complaining or getting all whiny about stuff, then I just remember that. And I'm like, okay, I just need to shut up and like try to make this thing as good as I can, basically, you know? So, yeah, so I just always like keep that in mind. The other thing that I think that I experienced on the job was Chris and Phil, Chris Miller and Phil Lord. They directed, they directed Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs that I was on, but you guys know they directed 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street, and they also are pretty much like in charge of the Spider-Verse movies. You know, they're kind of really the directors, like above the directors, they're the directors. They're the directors of the directors. Yeah.
We have one director more.
Yeah. I just remember on Cloudy, the first Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs movie, they would just get like really, really dumb notes, actually, or really bad notes from the executives.
Yeah.
Notes that they didn't want to do, but they would just go away, and then they would just figure out a way to like turn that note into like gold. Seriously, like, and so that just was so inspiring to me, because that sort of followed, you know, like what my teacher Lynn Naylor had said, basically, you know, like somehow they just do it and then figure out a way to like make it the best that they can make it.
I think you are the correct person to teach this, to send a one message. You're the correct person to have a one class about that, because you have a lot of experience. I'm going to keep that sentence, like maybe turn the notes of the executive to gold. I'm going to try to do that now since the future, because of course we have a commercial, we have a lot, and it's tough when some person told you like, oh, what do you think if we change this, or maybe it can work this, but I think we have that idea already, like a default idea, like every note that you give me is bad. It's like I take it the wrong way. But if we turn to the one positive way or something like we can use that to improve. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's the key.
I should just say, you know, to be fair, it's not like, you know, all the executives are stupid or something. You know, like there's a lot of great notes, and they're also valid too, because even if they're not, you know, creative people, they sort of represent the non-creative people that are going to watch the movie, right? And so and there's going to be a lot of them that are going to watch the movie.
So that's a different perspective.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, try to approach it that way too, you know, like it's just that we get all very passionate about what we do. So it must be, you know, our way must be right.
Yeah. Right. Sometimes artists, we take pride in things we make. So when we get those, wait, doesn't fucking make sense.
Yeah.
Well, now we got to reflect.
That's so dumb.
Yeah.
No way.
Let's try to make it make sense.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now is the time that we are going to take the class, the
it's
premium
game
class.
time. Okay, so we will briefly introduce actually the basic rule is we will have Chris pick one character and to kind of walk us through like certain line, angle, triangle, eyes, and whatever. And Congo and I were gonna try to draw.
Yeah, like I describe how is the character. I'm really scary. I try to please be a little more detailed as much as can. So we are going to draw our interpretation, and we're going to try to draw the character.
We have no idea what the character looks like.
Okay. I'm very scary.
I know.
It's going to be so
going to
far
be based on my description.
Yes.
So you guys don't even see anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this character is basically a bean kind of shape, or like an eye mask kind of shape.
Eye mask. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Let's have one bean. Okay.
Okay, cool.
One more description.
Yeah. So then on top of the head is two squares.
Two square.
Yeah, but it's only the top portion of the square that you'll see, because it's coming off of the top of the head.
Are they even?
They're even.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Like that.
Oh, yes. Okay, I guess I'm close.
Perfect.
I don't know.
I guess off the bottom of the head, like on the two sides, like on either side of the body,
Okay.
there's like a squiggly shape. It's basically a squiggly, and then it's flat, and then the same squiggly. So it's like a squiggly thing hanging up. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Doing pretty good.
Okay.
So this is profile?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
yeah, it's like a
Okay.
profile. It's
Okay.
45 degree, 45 degree.
So now we want little tiny like feet, basically.
Little tiny feet.
Okay, proportions are important. So it's really small feet. Okay, this is how I do it. Yeah.
My artist teacher always told me, draw the floor. So draw the floor, have the floor. Yeah. I feel like you are the kid one, and this is the older brother.
Oh, that was like my fault. But it's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're done.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Hey,
Let's have the master to improve our.
please.
Okay. So I always tell the students that they need to kind of watch the positioning of things. So when you're designing your character, you think about like the placement, and this is like how the proportions or the ratios are like, right? Yeah. Like thought about. So I think when you start to divide your character up, we say something like the key points of your character, like the spacing on it. You want to make sure that it's not too even, because we want to avoid what we call the ladder, where it's like these even steps, right? So when you're dividing up your points, it should be kind of varied, right? So if I started to so if I imagine that the bottom of his head was like here, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like where the neck's starting to go in. And then actually the bottom of his body is here, right? Yeah. So the legs are like this long. So this kind of spacing gets a little bit even, right? So it's always better to like sort of shift the line, like either that the head is like bigger than the body shape, right?
Yeah.
Or vice versa. You could do the body bigger than the head.
Play around with it.
Yeah. Proportional.
Otherwise, it gets a bit boring and even, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and that would be the same for like how you divide the head up. So the placement of the eyes here is kind of like directly center, right? So I would probably shift the eyes either up higher or lower. So people can like just sort of like look at that and then see like, oh yeah, you know, it's getting a little bit even.
Yeah.
And artists who draw digitally, obviously it's going to be easy to adjust it.
Yes.
If I was doing it traditionally like this, because, you know, back in the old days we did, then I would put paper on top and then redraw
the light from the top and then copy.
Yeah, you can either use like a light table if you need to, but also some paper is like thin enough that you can kind of see.
Yeah. You can see
that. So then that's all you need really. And or even you could do like this style, because this is what we used to do, right? Like if we're animating, then we'll actually like do like this, you know, like so I know where the side of the head is, right? So I just keep flipping it.
Yeah.
Right? So you could do that too.
I'm going to do that in the exam. No? My with a book. No?
Okay. If I turn in as my final assignment from A to F, I wonder. Yeah.
I'm not going to ask
really
that.
Honest feedback. I love to hear that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
If you can put, we can say that. I mean, he passed the course.
You didn't have anything to go by, so and no instruction. So I mean, I think it's pretty good. So I would definitely give it like at least a C+.
Okay, I'm not expecting too much about myself.
Did you think I was gonna be nicer? Yeah. Okay, so like with you know, if I'm starting to divide it, it's actually you kind of have this good space because you have this like tiny head and a like super long body.
Super long body.
So when you look at it, it's kind of more interesting, right? Even though I don't know if it is like really good.
Okay. I think it's going well. It's going well.
Even the spacing on the head itself it's sort of like kind of veering down. So if you had kind of moved your your eyes down a little bit more and kind of squished, I think, everything lower, then it would have been nicer, like with more forehead.
Okay.
Yeah, just favor one or the other, or you push it up or down, Yeah, decide.
If you go for forehead, let's give it a big ass forehead.
Yeah, exactly.
Exaggerate the thing. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, for the most part, I mean, like the way your tail is and the way your arm is, they're getting like kind of in the center. So if you had raised the tail down or I mean, lowered the tail or raised it, it's better, right? Just you want to keep everything from being the same.
I was inspired in the T-Rex, so it's like it's kind of a tiny, long body and tiny.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah, I think you guys did a pretty good job, both of you.
Oh yeah!
Let me ask you one thing: how we can reach the A+?
Practice.
And how you can practice?
By taking my course, of
course.
course.
And that is the most important thing. If you are one designer or you are a person who are really into it, that design the character, and you want to learn from the best, and especially today, you have the opportunity to take the course of Chris Mitchell, and you learn how to design, how to improve the design of the character, and of course, this small mistake you will not have in the future. Right, Chris?
Yes.
Chris, would you like to tell people that what are the like certain modules or like certain sections that you would be designing for this course?
So this course actually is really comprehensive and in-depth. It's very similar to the classes that I teach at CalArts.
More cheaper.
Yeah, it is actually. We spent so much time actually making this class. I just want to say that, and I think it really came out good. Like I put a lot of knowledge into this from my like experience, and there's also a lot of like I've spilled the tea on some like industry stories, and so that's like funny. To hear too. So
okay,
that's the best.
So this course is actually I've been saying it's good for beginners, but also even if you are more experienced, I think it's good because I think it's really about my approach too and my techniques and stuff. So I think all these things that I've learned that actually work, in the field, in the industry. And that's the knowledge that I'm giving.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is the thing that I want to attach to everybody. If you are a beginner and you want to introduce in this world and you want to learn how is the design of the character, how is the design of the animation, how is from one person who really has experience, this is the best opportunity and this is your course.
Oh, what's really worth mentioning is that Chris and Sat Knowledge, they are so kind and sweet enough to actually, we have this promotion period, and during this promotion period, if you get the course, this online course will be 50% off or even more. And we actually have if you're listening to our podcast, we actually get addition of 350 NT dollars off if you just simply type in the promo code O lowercase BROSBOND 350 Brosbond 350. Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you so much.
Thank you
so
Set
much,
knowledge,
everybody.
yeah.
Thanks everybody. It's me, Concord,
It's me, Tyler.
And it's me, Chris Mitchell.
and we are Brosbond. Bye, everybody.